I just had my 10x 360 with Brandon Dawson. I'm Ria, and here are my 7 lessons learned on today's topic, belief. Lesson 1. Would you please share the most impactful differentiator from the aspects of belief, operational, and leadership effectiveness that made one business successful and the other one failed? Lesson 2. Brandon says, I can tell you what the difference was. The belief. Lesson 3. Brandon says, we add an enormous amount of discipline and operational effectiveness any businesses we worked with. We tripled the size of the business. The issue was, as I believed I could change something that nobody else was able to figure out in the industry. The dental space runs on 89 separate point-of-sale software. Brandon spent $4.8 million building data cubes and data technology to take data out of the 89 different systems, converted into one operating model, which was his, so that all the practices that were out there were all running on different systems would not have to convert over a long period of time. And he even had $1 billion insurance companies that would have bought his company for $1 billion had he figured this out, because they were out acquiring thousands of dental practices, and the lag in converting those practices from whatever point of sale they were running on their EMR or whatever they were using to convert it over, there was such a loss of productivity and opportunity and history that they have prohibited them from buying smaller sub-$1 million practices. So he spent almost half of that $8 million building technology that was solely reliant on one industry data aggregator, that after 4 years and all that money spent, now understand, he had to build all the manual processes in order to teach the machine learning. So he was running a team that Hever super spread with Natalie. They had a team of 40 people building manual processes that were getting automated into the machine learning process and hand checking that to data streams, so they can automate operationalizing best practices of the dental practices. They were managing 150 practices and an overhead of about $500,000, $500,000 a month. And I believe, and Brandon believes, he could automate that whole thing, and he'd be the first one ever in the dental to do it. The mistake he made was his $8 million mistake. $8 million mistake was not allowing or vetting his aggregator of all the data to make sure their data was accurate until he was ready to almost go after the 4.5 years. And then they did an audit and found out that only 63% of their data was accurate, that they were feeding to them. That would have been a disaster. Brandon says he would have spent tens of millions rolling out and tens of millions of unwinding. Lesson 4. Brandon says, so it was an $8 million mistake, but the thing that got him in trouble is the belief that superseded his effectiveness. Lesson 5. Brandon says, I should have done the operational effective homework before I went hard launching the business, and I'll never make that mistake again. Lesson 6. So when your belief is like, I'm pretty confident I got it all figured out. I know it's gonna work. We're doing so good. All that is false information. In Brandon's case, his all-in monthly to go after, this was about $350,000 fixed, and he carried that for 5 years. But he also generated revenue, but it was never enough to offset the forward investment into having this tech stack that ultimately did not work. Lesson 7. So, Brandon says, don't chase if you're not a tech expert. Don't chase being the first guy to innovate. So those are my lessons learned. I hope you learned something. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you can also download a free section of my book, How I Made Apartment Prescription, How I Made from 0 to 50 apartment units in 7 years. I know if I can do it, I know you can do so much more. Take care and God bless.